Hello guys, welcome back to We Dive Deeper, episode 10. I just want to say a massive, huge thank you to everyone who is commenting and liking on Instagram and messaging on Twitter and stuff. It makes me so happy to know that people are enjoying this podcast. It makes me so happy to do this podcast, and I'm just so grateful. Long, long, long may it continue. Having said that, this is actually the last episode of Series 1. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Mr Joshua Keogh. He is the singer in a band called Amber Run, and if you haven't heard of them, make sure you go and check them out on Spotify. It's likely you will have heard of them because their song I Found is fucking huge, and it's an incredible song. I'm pretty sure it's got about 100 million plays on Spotify. Just such talented people. And Meadowlark were lucky enough to go on tour with them actually a couple of times. So I've gotten to know Joe a bit over the years. But to sit down with him like this and have this type of conversation was wonderful. So I'll stop talking. I'll let you hear the conversation. And make sure to let us know if you enjoy it. Share it wide on social media. And I'll be forever in your debt. Okay, here it is. So, welcome. You are the last guest of Series 1.
Series finale.
The series finale is you, Joe Keogh.
Oh no.
How does that feel? Apart from...
a lot of pressure.
You look pretty chilled, to be fair.
Well, it's just nice to be amongst friends again, isn't it? What reason is there not to be chilled?
Well, exactly. Do you know how this works?
To an extent. If you could explain it to me very briefly.
Oh, I can do that for you. So I have 70 questions, and they're all probing, intrusive, annoying questions.
And I'm going to answer all 70 because it's finale.
You're going to answer every single one. It's going to be quick fire.
Yeah.
And you're just going to pick a number between 1 and 70. And Joe, we're just going to start from there.
Wowee. 52.
52. Have we ever got 52 before? Ooh. Of the people you spend most of your time with, who brings out your best qualities?
Who brings out my best qualities?
And your worst while we're at it.
I think that the person who brings out my best qualities is my partner, Daisy.
She's hot.
She is hot stuff. She's hot tamale. But she's also the kindest, sweetest, most thoughtful, compassionate, hardworking, determined power lady I've ever met in my entire life. I adore her. Wow. And she makes me feel really positive about myself as myself. Because it sounds really, really odd, but obviously we met through music. And I had a very long period of rating myself on the successes and failures of my career. And that was nothing to do with Daisy, because I've been with Daisy for like 6.5 years now, so like she was with me before the band, and it was a me thing. But when there came a period where I was getting really, really super stressed, and there was a possibility the band was going to stop, and I was like, literally, who am I? What do I have to give other than I'm in a band? Like, every conversation would start with like, how's the music going, rock star? Gonna write us a tune, playing in the local pubs? And it's like, obviously not. Otherwise, this wouldn't be my career. But it was through like a lot of conversation with Daisy, and a lot of compassionate speeches that I was able to kind of come to grips with the fact that I have more to give than to the people around me than just the music that I write. And she lights everyone up that she's around. So I would say Daisy. I met her on the tour we did with you, and you can tell instantly she's one of those people that brightens a room. And I hate that saying, but it's so true. It lights up when she's there. She's very positive, wants to know everything about you. She's friendly. Like, those people are hard to come across. I think there are more than you'd realise, and I wouldn't. We were just speaking about speaking in definitives before we kind of got on the
the mics. But she does light up rooms, and I always think it's really, really funny because people expect when Daisy and I as a couple go to things, for me to kind of like be the kind of like flamboyant front person of pretty much everything, and I often just kind of like follow her like a little toddler, and just like kind of like you kind of pull the string on the back and she just runs off and like is this whirlwind. And I think that's really, really great, because I've always been quite reserved. I've always maybe reserved is the wrong word, but it's just a lot of fun to be around, and she brings out the better characteristics of me. So she's great.
And what about the worst?
The worst. What are my true failings as a human being? I reckon there are a few people in my life that I find it quite difficult to be around sometimes. I can be like desperately insecure in a very specific way. Like I have this desperate need to be loved, but then have this like crippling ability to just reject that love whenever I can.
Wow. Where do you think that comes from?
Probably from I think it's a trait that my mum has quite a lot as well, that she works really, really, really hard to make everything perfect for everyone, and then when that situation isn't perfect, gets very gets upset.
So like, would you say you're an overly sensitive person?
I wouldn't say overly sensitive per se. I would say that I am sensitive. I don't know about overly. I can't really... It's just very specific things. Like, if you were to be like, Joe, your hair doesn't look good today, I'd be like, okay.
Right.
Or like, I don't like what you're wearing, or like that kind of stuff. Be like, okay, fine. It would mostly be like if I've done something that's for you, or if I've done something in general that I think is for the betterment of myself and the people around me. If you were to go like why'd you do that? Or like, I'd be like,
fuck you up.
Yeah. But I can see in loads of stuff with my housemates. I'll cook a dinner, they don't say thank you, I'll be like, all right, well, fuck you.
Right, yeah.
Go away. Or like, and that's just, we talk about things, that's something I don't like about myself. And that's less to do with them than it is to do with me. But it takes them to be a part of it.
How often would you say that affects your like day-to-day life? Does it happen like once in a blue moon, or is it like...
I'd say once, twice a week.
Yeah. And do you find yourself getting out of those kind of holes easily? And do you have any like things that you do to get yourself out of those messes?
I'm an inherently quite an anxious geezer. So it builds and it ebbs and it flows. Like, for me, how to just stop those kind of feelings, and then not even to like even engage them in the first place, to stop them like even turning up. I've just learned to have a regime that really, really helps me. Physical exercise, like I play football like 3 times a week now. I actively go out of my way to feel like I'm doing something productive every single day. Those things make me feel good about the life that I'm living, and so they help to stop and negate those feelings of, because I think it's all a big concept of self-worth and my ability to think that I don't really have any. And I think that's a pandemic that is present in a lot of people, and specifically in our age group. And
I also think it's probably prevalent in musicians, especially I mean, even Orla was saying the same thing, Lewis was saying the same thing. In fact, most musicians that I know, now I'm thinking about it, have the same kind of insecurities. And maybe that's a massive part of why we write the music that we do. Yes, I don't know.
Certainly. I mean, I think we live, and I'm assuming you live in the same bubble as me. We live in a bubble of, so I live in Brighton now, you live in Bristol, so kind of liberal town. Our friends, on the most part, are musicians or creatives. We get this feedback loop of that's how we feel and how you feel, and then I'm more acutely aware of what I feel and what you feel, and it goes round and round and round because we're surrounded by the same kinds of people. And I think that if we opened up to others and were in different situations, I think we'd find that a lot of people feel like this. A lot of people feel like this. Is what I'm doing for my job fulfilling me? Don't think it's an issue that's stuck merely on the wall of musicians and creatives. I just think that we have a ability and a opportunity to talk about it, and for us to wear it on our sleeves in an artistic sense. You know, because I was reading a really interesting article about the concept of the tortured artist, and how for years, specifically men have been able to take advantage of this thing to be able to be a bit shit, to be not a good person, and I think it's 100% true.
Really?
I think every single time that I've ever done something bad, or like I've beaten myself up, and it's turned into reacting in a way that I'm not proud of, it's because I've been vindicated by something like that.
Wow.
And I think as well that can be taken away. And I think that if you just took away the artist bit, you could say about so many people that we know, they're just tortured, you know?
Yeah.
That's why they do the things they do. And that doesn't make it acceptable.
Yeah, so, it's kind of a good get-out clause, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unacceptable get-out clause, you know? And it validates people being mean and people being rude and people doing hurtful things. And I would suggest that you know, that is rife in, like, business. You know, you see the decisions people make, they're tortured or they want money, and, like, I don't know, I just feel... Yeah, I feel like self-worth is a pandemic that is not just a musician's.
Yeah.
I went on a serious tangent, but hopefully you kind of get what I mean.
I love tangents, Joe. I live for them, especially on podcasts.
It's also really, really funny that you invite me to do these kind of things, because my mind goes like, and then I bring in like some random thing, and then it's not that relevant, and then you bring another thing around. So hopefully you and people can kind of understand vaguely what I'm getting at.
This is why I love talking and having these kind of conversations with these kind of questions with lots of different people, is because you do just get a really broad idea of what people are like and how people converse and how people think about things. Or, you know, if I ask you about one thing, why does it go to the next thing? Like, I find it so interesting. So you tangent all you want, my friend. Okay, we're just coughing constantly. Another number, my friend?
31.
Ooh, what do you think happens after death?
In all honesty, I think nothing happens. I think that we will pass into the memories of the people that knew us, and I think that is a really beautiful thing.
That's very poetic too.
Yeah?
Yeah, write that down.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be something that I really thought about tons, like my legacy. What will you leave behind? And I think I've come to a point in my life at the you know, the grey-haired age of 26 that what I would like to be remembered for is being a kind and empathetic friend to people, and I hope that comes across in not only the work that we do, but in the human relationships that I hold. And I think if that is it, then I'd be very pleased.
Right. And so do you think we are just human beings, we die, and that's it? There's nothing higher, there's nothing more? I'm just curious.
I think I am and I'm not particularly spiritual, if that's kind of where the question is leading. I don't believe in a single God. I certainly don't believe in an organized religion. But I find it very helpful to think of this, not, how and why we are how we are, being thanks to a higher power. And I think that higher power is actually human relationships. But I would suggest, obviously not dictate how other people should go about their lives, but I would suggest that hoping for something that you don't, I think the concept of a God and or whatever sect of religion you fall into, just quite dangerous, because it stops you from engaging with what you're doing in this moment, as much as like you might preach what happens now. I just think it's a different thing. Or what happened, if you're going to act in a certain way now because something else might happen later, is makes everything you do kind of hollow. And surely that's not a nice way to live, to be constantly afraid of doing something like a little bit kooky because it might not be allowed and it might affect how stuff happens later. It seems a bit unfair. And also, obviously, after listening to Stephen Fry interviews, it's very the way that he talks about it. Why would you create an insect that goes inside the eyes of children, and why would you create leukemia? And I don't think a being that loves us would create pain in the way that it has.
I completely agree. And I like what you said there about, this is kind of what I've taken from what you said, shall I say, is that love is kind of the one thing that does unite us. So it could be that love is that oneness thing that no one can really understand, but it's inherent in everyone, and everything that we learn to do, like hate and whatever else, is kind of man-made learned behavior. But I think children naturally love, and children naturally need to be loved to become better human beings.
It's true. We all want to be loved, and we all want to give love, and that is truly the base of everything. Why we do anything, we were talking before. I genuinely believe one of the reasons that I started a band is because I wanted to be adored, and then I obviously found that dichotomy of I can't be adored or liked, but the base value of it is, and why you're in relationships, it's because you want to be loved. Why do you stay in touch with? We live in packs, and we create these groups, and we create our communities because we all want to love and be loved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it was nice. You tied up with a bow for me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I do love a little bow. I'm going to ask my favourite question that I ask. I say I ask everyone. I don't, but I want to ask you it. What was the most traumatic part of your childhood?
Earthed. I have a it's a really, really funny one. I'm not entirely sure what it is,
Okay.
And whether it actually happened, but it's defined how I go about my life in so many ways. After I've had to, like, you know, been to counsellors and talked about stuff and engaged with people, and I'm not entirely sure if it's real, so I'm not sure if this answers your question. But I have this very deep set memory, or not memory, I don't know, of being on like the 3rd floor of my school when I would have been around 11, and hoisting my legs up over the windowsill and sitting there on the edge and just thinking, I'm going to jump off. And it's really, really funny, because then I don't remember what happens after that, and I don't really remember what happened before that. All I know is that it feels so unreal, but it also feels like really, really, really real, and I can see how it has dictated so many of the decisions that I've made over my life. Yeah.
In what ways has it dictated your decisions and stuff?
Again, it's really difficult to describe. You know, as well, I only started to kind of engage with it when I had a different kind of weird psychosis-y kind of vibe, where I walked into the, again, I was just like, I'm just gonna kill myself, and I'm gonna walk into the ocean, and then just woke up as I like put my head under the water and then just walked home. I can't really describe them. It's very, very odd.
Wow. And that last one was a memory that, like...
No, that one 100% I know happened.
Wow.
So, and which makes me think that maybe the other one did happen as well.
Yeah.
But like, I don't remember walking again. I don't remember walking into the ocean. I just remember being in it.
Kind of like you were under some sort of spell.
Well, no, again, I remember the moments before. I remember leaving the club I was in. I remember walking along the beach, and then just like, and then the next bit that I like personally remember is like, I was just in the water. But that was like post first record of the band, so like it wasn't like childhood. But ever since that, this other one just flares up. So that must have been traumatic.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, I haven't told many people about that one. I certainly haven't told my parents about it, or close family. I think I've explained it to Daisy once or twice. But, yeah.
I very much appreciate you sharing.
It's not about, yeah, I didn't mean it in that way. I promise I didn't need the appreciation of it. It's just, I think, for me, one of the ways, and I think you can probably tell from what we've spoken about so far, I ramble and my head comes from here to there, and this is a topic that I don't understand. I don't have the words, because I don't think it's been fully realized in my brain.
So does the self-worth and stuff, does that tie into you feeling these kind of thoughts? Like, would you say that you've been suicidal on a couple of occasions? Is that how deep it feels?
Yeah, 100%. My little brother, you know, we've spoken about this quite a few times with him, and he has similar situations. I think it is a chemical makeup that is something that is going to flare up in my life. So yeah, 100% I would say that I felt that. And I was talking about it with a friend last night about like anxiety and depression and the things that it makes you do and the things that it makes you feel, and how logical it feels, like how rational the decision-making process is. Like, I have all this stuff going on, I don't really want to deal with it, so I guess the only way to do this, to kind of make it stop, or for me not to have to engage with all the other stuff, is just to, do the dirty. But also, I'm super, super lucky, because with a lot of help from some brilliant counsellors and the beautiful NHS and the support of my family and my friends and my partner, and a lot of self-love, like, you come out the other side, and then you're able to speak about it and talk about it and not be embarrassed of it, and know that it's part of the identity and the makeup of who you are and what you are. Like, if I didn't feel things like this so acutely, I certainly wouldn't be able to write the songs that I think are the most important of my career, and I wouldn't be able to have the perspective that I have now of, like, what I actually want from my life, what is actually genuinely important to me. And at that period, like, the band was everything, and if I didn't get to Wembley, then I was a failure. We didn't get top 10 on our record, so I'd failed. A band member left, so I'd failed them. But after a situation like that, it turned more into, like, I had a lot of fun going out on the road. I have a lot of fun doing it. I got to spend a really lovely moment with a really talented colleague, and what is it that I actually want, and that is to be surrounded by really, really beautiful people. I want to eat really great food. I want to enjoy the moments that I'm in, and those are my checklist of successes now, rather than like fiscal reward, rather than the unquantifiable adoration of the faceless. So I answered your question in quite a roundabout way, because I can't actually remember much of it.
And so do you feel like, I'm guessing you go through stages of being in that depression, anxiety phase, and then you kind of come out of it, the clouds lift in, you're able to talk about it and self-reflect and stuff. Is it like that? Do you go in and out of it, or was it a very specific periods of your life that triggered it?
I think it does come in and out. I wouldn't like that. The concept of the cloud, I find, it doesn't really. I guess it does. I never really thought about it. It's just this numbness. It feels more physical for me. It manifests less in this kind of like shroud of judgment, more just like my body is heavy. My eyes don't seem to pick up the things they would pick up before. Like, I know, I was just driving here, and like at the other end of the road, God bless 20/20 vision, like maybe 100 yards away, there was this barber shop with like a window, big window, and this barber was just like dancing, and he just got this old lady out this thing and started like twirling her, and I just like laughed out loud.
That's amazing.
Do you know what I mean? Like little moments like that I wouldn't see, and if I did see, I'd be like, oh, they have that.
Right, okay, yeah.
The separation. Again, that separation for me feeling very like body rather than mind.
Okay.
And that happens quite often. But again, I found a lot of very helpful ways to mean that doesn't happen as often, and when it does happen, I have more perspective. And to the point now where like I don't think it will happen. Well, obviously it will happen, but like if a family member to die, if I didn't have one specific other, if I didn't have the support structure, I'd still believe that I'd be able to do it by myself, because of like not to find myself in the same situations that I seem to have found myself in the past, because of just finding structures that help me cling on to what I actually want.
I guess that is probably like the literal definition of growth, is that life will still hand you the same shit. It's just that you get better and better at dealing with it. And I can completely relate. Even yesterday, girls, I'm sure you'll feel me every time of the month. I really relate to what you said. It was this heaviness in the body rather than anything else. And I felt just debilitated and had no motivation, no inspiration, couldn't smile. Everything was crap. But the difference these days is that I'm just much more mindful, and I can see that they are just thoughts that I'm having. And they're so not normal to the thoughts that I have on good days that I'm just like, these are just thoughts and they're not real to me. Because yes, I can be like, oh, I feel really fat and this is going really badly, blah blah blah, but I can also see objectively it's not, you haven't put on a stone in a day. Like, you just kind of know this stuff and you're able to see it for what it is. And so
I'm really sorry that I thought this as I walked in. You look amazing.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I have put on some weight.
I don't believe you.
I mean, I can show you the scales.
Body image is a really, really funny one.
Yeah, you've struggled a bit, have you?
Yeah, I'm absolutely certain that I'm like 100 stone. And like,
I know
when exactly
you
what
walked
you're
in,
talking
I thought,
about.
damn, you look good.
Thanks.
Sorry, Daisy.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn. No, but again, I thought exactly the same. Again, what you see, yourself sees, and what those around you see they're just two completely different things. I think it's really, it's really important. It's beautiful when you get those compliments. They're not going to be there every day. So we need to find ways to, you and I need to find ways to pick out the things that we like. I've learned to love being called Fat Jon Snow, like once weekly now.
Is that what you get
It's
called?
kind of funny. Yeah. It's like Jon Snow and Samuel Tarly had a baby.
Right.
Or
I'm going to pretend like I know who Jon Snow is because I don't watch Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
right. Okay. Well, he's just well fit.
Right.
And,
well, that's definitely
yeah,
a good
exactly.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's nice to be regarded as fit, but it's just that caveat at the beginning. Yeah, you're fat. You're like a fat version. It's like, oh,
a fat fit version.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's good to meet you.
You're not fat though.
And Fat Jack Black comes up as well, and it's like, without being rude, Jack Black, I know that you're an avid listener of this podcast. I think I'm slightly slimmer than Jack Black. No offense, mate.
I'd agree with that.
So, ouch.
Yeah. Does that affect you, or can you see it for what it is now?
You see the humour in these things now, don't you? I would say it was definitely more of an issue a few years ago. But again, a lot like this stuff, like I do play a lot of sport and go running, go to the gym a lot more now. So I have a lot more body confidence because I have made very specific changes to my lifestyle. That means that, like, I wouldn't and can't be, like, it's not logical that I would be as big as I seem to think that I am, or as ugly as I think that I am, because,
It's impossible.
It is impossible unless I had like a severe medical disability, which I don't, thankfully.
Yeah.
So,
would you say you've got body dysmorphia then?
Dangerous, because I don't want to. I would say that a lot of people have it a lot worse.
Yes, I agree.
So I don't really like myself. I don't think it's the same as some things these poor like people have, because I don't think it's just a feminine issue.
Definitely not.
But it does seem to kind of fit in that world a lot more, more often, or you hear about it more often. Terrible.
Did it flare up more when you started doing Amber Run and performing on stage? Is that when it kind of reached a peak, or was it all your life?
The Amber Run stuff would be more like when I sat back and looked at photos of the show.
Oh my god, same. Preach to the choir.
So like, I'm pretty sure I'm badass when I'm up there, because you have to live it. You have to be certain that what you're doing is worth doing, and you have to be. It's an art form in itself, performance. And if you have self-doubt it's going to harm the performance itself. I put on like different clothes when I go on stage, so I feel like a different version of myself. Or sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes halfway through the show you're like, I'm doing terribly, and you kind of just piece it all the way down, you get the show finished with. But on the most part, I would say that you put on your armour and just perform. So I wouldn't say that it turns up that often, because I feel like I'm not really Joe Keogh when I'm on stage. I am, Joe of Amber Run.
Yeah.
Or Joshua of Amber Run.
That's how you get called a lot.
Well, no, it's just that I've always done it. Like, Joe is for friends and family. Joshua is what I've always been called for music. So I know when people don't actually know me, when they come up and start calling me Josh,
which
is actually really useful.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because then you can switch into, like, your script that you have for the music industry or the fans.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. In fact, I was so close last tour to just being like, would it be okay to just put something on Twitter like, please don't take photos? And I was like, no, I can't deny people taking photos at gigs, but I can't stand looking back at them. When I get tagged on them on Instagram, I'm like, oh, please God, don't do this, because I just go into a spiral of, I mean, I try not to these days. I don't let myself talk badly about myself, but when I see photos like that, I'm like, stay away, else I will go into a hole.
I think there'll become a moment where you'll be able to. We should be looking at them objectively. It's free publicity. People are taking photos and promoting your music for you. You know, without you having to do it. That's how I try and think about it now.
That's a much better way of looking at it.
I mean, it's a bit like when people take videos at shows. Like, I'd prefer if you didn't, because it sounds terrible and you're like ruining the experience for other people. But cynically, that can go up on your Facebook or your stuff, and people that haven't otherwise heard what you're doing at least hear it.
Although I've got to be honest, if someone ever posts a video of a show, I never listen to it.
Really?
Or even, when people like Instagram story, just they're at a gig and it's fucking an hour long of them, I would never listen to it. I'm like, next. Maybe I'm alone in that.
Man, I'm sure you're not alone. I fucking adore playing live, so I quite like to go back to those places. I mean, I'm not like I wouldn't say that like I stand there and if I have a moment, I'll like, my first thought is to be like, I'm gonna hashtag Amber Run and go see what what I can find. But if they turn up, or someone goes, oh, I saw this video, and shows it, I'm kind of into it, I really enjoy playing live, so I get a really great rush of, I get a bit like it's kind of out of body, as I said, like it's like a different person, but then it's you, so it's a weird.
Yeah, and I guess that again that ties into the self-worth thing. When you don't feel amazing as yourself, that gives you an hour to be someone else, and because I feel the same nerves definitely before shows, but you have to fake it to make it. There's no way you could go out there and be like, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I have to be the singer in Meadowlark. I know these songs. I'm going to play them, even though everything in me wants to die at that point, because I'm so nervous. I just act like I'm fine. People are like, you don't look nervous. I'm like, it's because it's an act. Trust me.
But isn't it funny as well? All this stuff, it feels like, is perspective. Like, when I get nervous, I'm like, oh, this feels great.
Really?
I'm about to do something that I'm really scared of. It's going to be fun.
You like nerves? You like the feeling of them?
Well, it might just be for like playing live, because I know that I like it. Obviously, sometimes these feelings that you get are what you say that they are. Like, that feeling of like testosterone anxiety, kind of like when you feel like you're getting a heart attack, I feel very similar to like nervous energy, or the adrenaline when like you're about to like do something that you're a bit scared of. It's the same kind of chemical makeup, throwing it in there, and it's just what your head is telling you that it is. And anxiety is just like nervous energy happening at the wrong time, you know? That's how I've always felt about it. Obviously, I'm not a medical doctor, but
I like that. I think that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, but I think it's perspective. It's what you think, whether that feeling is bad or not. So if the next time that you get nervous, you go, it's great that I'm nervous because it means that I care, that I'm going to do a great job, and I have this extra spurt of energy that's going to make sure that like I can get through this and like really nail it. That's how I think about it, nerves now. Because if I didn't get nervous, I'd know that I didn't really care about how good it was. And if I don't care how good it is, then the performance will suffer, and the people that come and watch the show won't enjoy it as much, so their enjoyment will suffer. And if you wanted to be super cynical, if that happens, then they're not going to come back. So fiscally, I can't live in the house that I live in anymore, so my life will suffer.
Yeah.
So really, we've got to be thankful for our nerves that they were there in the first place.
I love that. Do you apply that same mentality to everyday anxiety? I guess it's different. You're not obviously performing when you go into the shops or anything, but
no, I do know. I do get what you mean. I would say like an element of that comes into it, but again, we've all created structures and mechanisms that we use to like be able to go about our daily lives, and I would say that is one that I've just a positive mental outlook sounds quite like hippy dippy. I've generally just found it helps.
It really, really does.
And if other people have found other ways, then that's wicked. Mm-hmm. But this is just one way that seems to have worked for me with that kind of stuff.
Amazing. I love that. I like what you said about it's just nerves at the wrong time. Is that what you said? Something like that.
Something like that. I don't know. As we've said before, I tend to ramble, and then if you grab that, then that's what it is.
I can already see it. It's going to be the quote on Instagram now. Okay, pick another number.
It's up to 70, right?
Yes. And I picked 80 on my episode, and I'm meant to be the host of this.
Right, 92. 26.
Okay. Ooh, I reckon you're going to answer this one well. Where do you find meaning in your life?
Where do I find meaning in my life? Where do I find meaning?
Firstly, I guess, do you even think life is meaningful on the whole? Or do you think it's meaningless?
I think it's unbelievable. It's like literally flowing over with meaning.
I love that.
Because otherwise, generally, what is the point?
But then, earlier, I'm just curious now. Earlier you said you don't think anything happens after death, and then it's just that we live, we die. In that mentality for me, I'm like, well then what is the fucking point? Where is the meaning?
This here and now, this situation, this conversation is meaning. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what happens when we die. Like at what point culturally and socially did we decide that that to be good means that I get something in return? Like, that's not how relationships work. That's not how life works. Like, I've kept up with you, and it sounds like you've had a really, really fucking tough time this last couple of stuff. That isn't because you're not a good person. It wasn't like you were bad in a past life, so all this shit has happened to you, or like you're bad in your life, so bad stuff has happened. Hopefully that's true. Like, it's and I know it for how I live my life as well. Like, I know for a fact that I've done some things that I'm not super proud of. Like, I have retorted in anger. I've not been the perfect partner. I haven't been the perfect son. I haven't been the perfect brother. But like, I have also done a ton of really great stuff. And life isn't dictated by that. All you can do is be, as well, in my opinion, the traits that I think are important as like kind, empathetic, dedicated as you can be to the things that are important to you, and then the rest will look after itself. Like, you literally can't control it. So does my life, where do I find meaning? I would say genuinely in conversations like this. I would say in like hidden moments with people that you respect, that you love, and in like really tasty food.
Yeah, I love that. Same.
For me, there's so many important things that we can, and there's so many places you can find meaning. And so I understand meaning in a religious sense and after death and stuff. But wouldn't it be so much nice if we put the same passion and drive that we do towards that into just the people around us? Wouldn't that be really, really nice?
Yeah.
Because then charitable work isn't because of, well, it means that I get this later. Single kind acts aren't because karma.
Yeah.
But just because.
And I think, who was I was speaking to? I think I said this on another episode, but the guy from Aqualung, we were having a chat.
What a band. Strange and Beautiful.
Yeah,
what
right, what a song. He was telling, when we were just talking about music and the industry and all the crap that goes with it, and he was like, that's never where any of the good stuff is, though. The good stuff is just us two having a chat, or you just watching TV with your friend, or like, yeah, just at a random restaurant on a Thursday night. That's always where the good stuff is. And when those people go, those are the things you're not going to remember. You're not going to remember, oh, when we got a #1 album, or like all that stuff's so irrelevant. It's always the connection and the conversations that you have that, yeah, are the meaningful bits. All the other stuff's just noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it's good to remind yourself of that as much as possible, because it's so, even today I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing a podcast, thinking ahead, like I need to edit this, blah, blah, blah. No, just like sit in it. Just enjoy the conversation now, rather than your head constantly running towards something or thinking that went wrong then, how can I stop this now? Just enjoy moments for what they are, because they won't be here for very long.
Yeah. I mean, literally nail on the head.
Yeah.
And yeah, surely that's the meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, we probably have time for one more question. Yeah, pick a number.
30. 30.
Okay, what is your most cherished childhood memory?
Most cherished.
See, I can't remember basically any of my childhood. My memory, I'm thinking maybe it's all the Pepsi Max that I drank growing up.
Legend.
I don't have a memory. I swear to God, I can remember things only from photos.
I don't like fizzy drinks.
No?
No, not really.
But then you like hot drinks, right?
I
don't like hot drinks.
I do like hot drinks.
At least we can come together on alcohol.
Yeah, that's okay. We can do that. I have so many. I've like, most cherished is going to be quite tough.
Okay.
I had my mum and dad are excellent. They're beautiful people. Obviously they have their issues. But two better role models I couldn't have asked for. And there are so many little moments. I remember going on a barging holiday.
Wow.
In Wales, and
that's a cool holiday to go on as a kid.
Oh, give me a break! It was.
we even went to Centre Parks.
Really,
yeah.
I've been to Centre Parks as well.
I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah. The high ropes.
Yeah. The rapids.
Yeah, the rapids were sick. I remember falling in the water, and my dad and mum just like screaming like, "No, are you okay?" and it got up to my like ankles.
Right.
And I can't remember how old it was. And then just that, and then just everyone just laughing. I just remember that just being really lovely. That switch of like panic mode to like on the floor laughing kind of, because my dad could be quite nervous. Yeah, it was just really funny.
I had a really similar story actually. There was like a woods behind our house, and you walk down this really steep hill, and then there's a river at the bottom. And it must have been like raining heavily, or had been raining heavily. And there was this massive tree that had fallen over the river, so you could just walk across the tree to get to the other side. And Dad was like, come on, like let's walk across the log. And I was like, no. I mean, I can't remember how old I was, of course. But I was adamant I didn't want to walk across it.
But you had a Pepsi Max in your hand.
Of course I did. I was adamant I didn't want to walk across it because I could see it was slippery. But my dad was there. He was like, come on, we're going to walk across it. It'll be fine. And lo and behold, as soon as we get on this log, we both fall into the river. And there's me like screaming, like, Dad, I told you I didn't want to walk. And he was just crying with laughter because he was like, similar story.
Yeah.
Have you always had a good relationship with your parents?
Yeah, I'd say so. There've been some really difficult times, but my grandfather passed away really recently, and that hit our family really, really hard.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's okay. Death happens, and like.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, well, you know well. It's absolutely going to happen. And you know, we got time to. He died of cancer, and we got time to hang out and see him. Like, I got to remember we were on the road. Were you on this tour? I can't remember. It was in Newcastle, and it was Will's birthday.
That rings a bell.
Or Tom's birthday, sorry.
Okay, now it doesn't. I don't know how that's changed. I mean, you are asking the wrong person, even though I was there.
Yeah. Too much Pepsi Max, I remember.
I'm not going to live that down now, am I?
But we were playing in Newcastle, and I remember getting a call, and we had a day off the day after, and my mum just being like, "You need to come up right now." And then obviously I was right in the middle of tour, so I think it's like smack bang in the middle. We had another like 2 weeks or something, and she was like, "Honestly, forget one of the shows. It was just luck. You should come tomorrow." And I got to see him the day before he died, and I just think that kind of stuff's really. We're talking about like moments and meaning. That's really, really powerful, and I'm really, really grateful for it. But yeah, that hit our family really, really hard. And my mum in particular really has been struggling, which obviously has a ripple effect on everyone, and because she's such a powerful lady, and everyone's struggled for a bit. But I think the thing about our family that I'm really, really grateful for is there's just this ferocious love. Like, sometimes we don't click, and sometimes we get angry, and we're very, very emotional family, and sometimes there's a lot of like, well, you know, I don't get angry so much, but you know, like, can be tension, but there is also just this ferocity to the amount we adore each other, that means that, you know, even if other horrible things were to happen, there would have to be some pretty turgid stuff would have to happen to mean that I wouldn't pick up a call or like turn up when I need to turn up. And so yeah, I've always had a good relationship with my parents, and long may it continue, and I think I'm really lucky in that.
That sounds so beautiful. I've never heard anyone talk about their family with such love, with a ferocious love. They can be very annoying, as with all family, I guess.
But all the decisions that have ever been made in my family have been made for the right reasons, even if it didn't turn out how it was supposed to turn out. And I couldn't ask for to be around better people. And I'm starting to get to know my extended family a lot more as well, which I'm really, really grateful for, because my cousin now lives with me and Daisy. And like, I knew her when I was growing up, but we always lived quite far apart, and then she came and lived with us. She started living with us about a year ago, and I'm really grateful for that. You know, family's like, I wouldn't say like, you know, like there's like core American values of like family, I don't know what the other. I'm not American, so I don't know. That was never. I wouldn't say it's like. Describe it as a pillar, but it's always just been so stable for me.
That's amazing.
And it's just always been a really kind and safe space to go back into, and I'm really, really grateful for it. And I guess I'll probably take it for granted quite often, but if you get an opportunity like this to talk about how great they are,
you realise it again. Yeah. And how have you as a family dealt with grief? Is it the first time you have experienced grief like that?
Yeah, definitely. I wrote a song called Amen.
Oh wait, was that the one that you sang for? No, there was one when we were on tour. You had written a song and you just showed it to me and Dan in that downstairs bit. Was that it?
Yeah, I think so.
So it would have been that tour then?
Yeah, it would have been. So yeah, I churned that out like 2 days.
And it was incredible.
Oh, thanks.
It really, really, really was incredible.
You know, it's quite on the nose. Basically, it was the eulogy that I wish that I'd written. Because I read at the funeral, which was fucking hard.
So hard.
But I read a poem that I'd never seen before the day, because I was on tour and I didn't have time. And then I realised like I should have taken the time. I should have found something that was important to our relationship. You know, he loved Liverpool Football Club. I love Liverpool Football Club. Why didn't I read "You'll Never Walk Alone"? Do you know what I mean? Or something like that.
Yeah.
But instead I read this poem by Bob Marley, and like I don't really identify with, you know, what I read. And so I was just like, well, I should write the eulogy that I wish that I'd given, and not to like quote myself, but I can be relatively prosaic and like a little bit overly romantic with a capital R. And I'm not. Sometimes I feel it very acutely, and sometimes I'm like, oh, Jay, you pushed that a little bit too far. But like sometimes that grief can be super, super intense. So I was just like, let's push it to like where I was at the moment, like in the most intense moments. And it was like,
could you read like the whole song for us? Do you know it off by heart?
Yeah, probably could. Are those real angels in the magazines? Is there a heaven you'd know now you've been? And are those real stars that hang in the sky, or are they man-made, a trick of the light? Amen. And is there a God up there? If so, where does he hide? 'Cause the devil is raging inside my mind. And is there a moment when it all makes sense, when saying goodbye doesn't feel like the end? Amen. And sometimes I can't help blaming you for leaving me here. What am I supposed to do? There's plenty of women, there's drink and there's drugs, but we both know that won't be enough. Because I see you in the daytime and I hear you at night. There's a pale imitation burnt in my eyes. I don't want to be here. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I'd rather be dead. At least then I'm with you. Amen.
That's very, very apt.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's grief, isn't it?
It is, and it comes out in very specific ways. But you know, that feeling, we sang it, we literally just did a tour out in the States, and it was the first tour that we played it every single night. And I don't think I really want to play it every night anymore.
Yeah, on this tour I sang a song called Embody, which is about Mum, and I mean every single night I couldn't get through it, and I'd stop at the second verse every single time and just play the chords. And luckily all the audiences kind of knew, so they were kind of clapping and cheering me on. But I love that song. I just don't think I can ever play it live ever again.
I was one of my first shows that I ever did was with a woman called Kate Walsh. And
yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, and she explained it very poignantly. She was like, I'm not entirely sure I want to play many more shows, because every single song I write is a song about something bad that's happened to me, and every single time it's like ripping off the scab.
Yeah.
And when you think that you've like healed just one show on tour, you feel it very acutely all over again. And you know, songs are beautiful moments and time capsules of how you felt at a very specific time, and sometimes you can find meaning in them in different moments, like further down the line. So I'm absolutely certain it won't be the last time that we play a song like Amen. But I'm at a point in my life now where when it comes to playing live shows and when it comes to me as a person, I want to soundtrack some of the best moments of my life and some of the best moments of other people's. I want to soundtrack good moments of their lives as well as the bad ones. And Amen feels, like it wouldn't be serviced in that kind of situation. But then again, if people want to hear it, then we'll keep on playing it, but it's just very, very painful.
Yeah, really painful. Wow. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Grief and death. Have you got, let's end on something nicer. Have you got a life motto, something you live by to just keep you happier in the days of grief and death and sadness?
I find a lot of solace in that whatever is happening today, whatever you have coming up in the next couple of months, like that time will march ceaselessly on, and it doesn't think of you and it doesn't think of me, and it will carry on, and you can carry on with it, whatever is happening at a specific moment. And it might be really terrible and you might feel really, really terrible, but there's always an opportunity for things to get better if you want it to get better.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
And apologies for rambling.
You never need to apologise. Thank you for listening to Series 1. I'll be back soon. And yeah, thanks, Joe.
How awesome was that conversation? Joe, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed doing it with Joe. Whoa, I didn't do it with Joe. Oh, okay, so there's that. This is actually the series finale though, last episode of Series 1, and it's been a wonderful ride. I've never done a podcast before. I didn't know what this was going to entail, but I have loved every single minute of it. So thank you so much if you've listened, and if you haven't listened to every episode, make sure you go back and check them out, because I think they're really good and I really liked doing them. And I don't know, maybe I want validation like every other human being on the planet. I already have guests lined up for Series 2. I don't think you'll be disappointed. There's some amazing people on there. In fact, every single person is amazing, so it doesn't matter who the guest is. But make sure you find us on Instagram and Twitter at We Dive Deeper, and you can keep up to date with when Series 2 is beginning and who's on there, and just have more of a conversation. Maybe a little community, I don't know. But again, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, and you're the best, guys. This has been awesome, and I'll see you on Series 2.